This is FQAS Foundation's session, and what we do is every 2 weeks we have FQAS Foundation. So I'm just kind of talking to student services here, so you kind of know what we do. There's 15 sessions this year, and each one is based on, you guys can see down there, the FQAS framework. There's 15 different standards that we aim at. State statute, we gotta teach all faculty full-time and adjuncts. So we have full-time faculty here with us right now, but this is also going to be made into a video that's going to be shared with adjuncts so they can watch over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. And the goal here for this one is to hit that competency 3 standard 10, which is utilize college communities, resources and services, you all, to support teaching and learning, to support our students. The whole goal being student learning. So this video, yeah, we have the full-time people here, but the adjuncts are going to hopefully get to know more about this. You know, they're going to come and go into the trainings, and they're out there on an island a lot of times. So this is a good way for them to know more about what's going on in your world. We possibly, hopefully, will have another person here for the 2 slides. Otherwise, well, we're going to shoot from the hip on those 2 slides if they don't make it here. But let us get started. And I guess I'll let you introduce yourself and your role as you get to the slides that you're going to do. So
hi, I'm Kelly Grorud. I am the registrar, and I have with me.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Lear, and I'm the assistant registrar.
And so we thought we'd just share a little bit about what our office does, and we've kind of broken our ideas down into sort of 2 categories: what we do to support students directly, and then what we do to support all of you in your role in supporting students. So you'll see that what we do in our office is a wide variety of things. So yeah, if you want to go back. Students interact with our office. Oh, and we are located right off the Welcome Center. So when you see the big windows, if you're in the main lobby, that's where we live. So students interact with us a lot for registration, you know, adding and dropping courses, if they have questions about courses, a lot of billing and payment kinds of questions come our way as well. Students will stop by when they need their ID or if they need a specialized ID for one of their programs. They tend to email us if they have questions about transcripts. Or if they need to do a program change through their advisor. We also run the graduation application and send communication out about the graduation ceremonies and transfer credit evaluation. So if they have CPL credit for prior learning, or transfer credit that comes in that they need evaluated, that runs through our office.
I'm on mute.
Do you want that?
one of the hot times of the year where you're going to have registration.
Now.
Fall.
So right now is kind of the add drop switcheroo for spring. And then, you know, it'll be a little bit quiet in February, and then we're gonna start gearing up for commencement in May, and registration in April for our summer and fall term. So it's just differing levels of.
And so when say the fall term starts, when is the latest someone can register for courses? After the courses have started, can you still register for courses?
So if a course has already started, if we're in the first week of a full 16-week course, the instructor's permission is okay enough. Once we get into that second week, we need the dean and the instructor. But, you know, for those courses that don't start until the second 8 weeks, they can sign up for those up until the day before themselves.
So I got another question. Looking at your chat over there, so I don't know the transfer credit evaluation. I keep seeing things about the credit evaluation, the credit for prior learning. How does that exactly work?
So right now the process is once a student signs up for that part 2 of that arrow, so they get admitted, they do the part 1 through Blackboard, which is kind of like all about the stuff we're talking about today, you know, how the resources we offer in student services, how to use Blackboard, stuff like that. But once they sign up for that part 2 to meet with their advisor, that's when that transcript evaluation is typically happening. after the semester starts, we have different like dashboards and different systems to see transcripts that come in, and then I can evaluate them based on that dashboard, because not everyone's submitting their transcripts on time. Otherwise, sometimes I'll just get email requests like, hey, you know, I sent in my Rock Valley, I think you missed X, Y, and Z, and all of the students through email. They come through the advisor.
Yep, and more and more, we're working with faculty members who have conversations with students about their work-based experience and certificates they may have earned, especially in the math division, that might count for credit. And so then we work directly with the faculty member on trying to get that student to put together a brief portfolio that gets approved, and then we can give them the credit.
So like OSHA cards, serve safe certificates, CDL, all those things.
You predicted my next question. I was just going there. Okay, good. All right. I'm gonna be a tough host. I'm gonna ask questions.
No problem.
If you're out there, you have, Tony, you got questions? Anybody out there in the Teams land, you got questions? Bring them.
Sorry, I'm switching back over. My eyes are not that great. So just give me one sec. I've got my list right here too. So we also do a lot of work directly with faculty members, and getting, services to faculty and staff who support students. And so a big one is really trying to help faculty and staff get the student record information they might need. Of course, we're limited on what we can provide based on FERPA, but we're always open to having a conversation with you about what you need and how we can try to provide it within the law. And we also take the open records request. So any open records request that comes to the college, whether or not it's related to a student record or not, passes through Caitlin and me, and then we assign it to the right person. Very frequently, those go to finance, because most of our open records requests right now are about contracts, but we do get them about students as well. We help support the enrollment verification and grading processes that I know every faculty member absolutely adores. They love getting those emails from us. We set up all the courses and programs and catalog changes and set the framework for the back-end systems for scheduling. So Julie Kronk in our office does a lot of that work with scheduling, and works with the administrative assistants that help put the course schedules in. And then we kind of talked about, we also support faculty when there's credit for prior learning or transfer questions that they might have. And you may get emails from us periodically asking you to review a course to let us know whether or not it's equivalent to something that we do offer, so that we can provide that credit. That's really our way of checking with content experts to make sure that we're not assigning credit for something that you wouldn't assign credit for.
Right, so you made reference to how much they love enrollment verification. Like, what's the why behind it?
Well,
I mean, that's what the,
it has to do actually a lot more with financial aid than it does with us. So enrollment verification is required by federal law. We have to identify students as either attending or not attending, and this is particularly critical if they're using federal financial aid, because if we send aid to a student who is not actually attending classes, then the institution's on the hook for that aid. We have to refund the government for aid that we disperse that's not been done correctly. So
that's really
I get a
important
question on
information.
that.
Yeah.
So what if you have a student that's been there for like the first couple weeks, you do the verification that he's there, and then he gets hired, and then he leaves school? How does that work if he was collecting financial aid for be there? How does that all?
So you can always, as of right now, you can do an instructor withdraw for that student. And then give us the last date of attendance. You can always tell us the last date of attendance, and that's then how the federal aid then gets adjusted.
Okay.
Yeah, because then essentially what we would do is we would look at how long and how much the student actually got from the course. And then they would have to pay whatever percentage they didn't actually take. Because essentially then they take up a spot that another student didn't have, or time or resources or whatever. So they pay for what they did receive, and then they have to return what they did not receive. But Because essentially financially would pay towards their bill, and then if there's leftovers, they would get a refund. So they would have to pay back whatever they didn't use or whatever refund that they got of that course.
Okay.
Any more questions about registration? I think we're moving into financial aid.
I have one more thing
Oh,
to add real
there we
quick.
go.
So back kind of to that first card about what we help support students with, and graduation was one of those things. Earlier this year, we implemented Degree Works, and the student has access to that as well through a card in my BTC. So they're able to see their graduation audit, and how much of their program they've completed. So that's really been helpful, in our office to expedite, awarding students, but as well as the student being able to see their own progress. So that was never available before.
Do faculty have access to that also to see where students are if they?
Not quite yet.
Yes,
Okay.
not yet.
But as we work with academic affairs on getting faculty advisors assigned, we will be able to get faculty connected directly to students who they might be advising, and then they will be able to see those audits. Yep.
More data. Financial aid.
Alrighty, so my name is Avery Baum. I'm currently the student worker in financial aid. So we do a lot of things. So we help students fill out and apply for FAFSA, so federal student aid. So that can include any grants, state or federal, any loans, and any federal work study, which is where we provide students on-campus jobs. So that's essentially what I'm doing. So with that, we can help them, gather any documents that they might need if we need to do extra verification. We'll help them actually, accept or apply for any of their loans or scholarships. And then, yes, completing the FAFSA itself, whether it's, both FAFSAs, because like right now we're in between years. We kind of break down their financial aid packages or award letters to them directly on how everything works and how everything's split up. We advise students on how their financial aid can be impacted when they withdraw from courses or add courses or change things around. We support students and their parents. So if there's, language barriers or just understanding barriers, we can help the students and their parents understand kind of what financial aid is and how it affects them. We look at their GPA and their completion rate at the ending of every semester to calculate what we call SAC. Satisfactory academic appeals to see if they're meeting our GPA and completion rate requirements. And if they're not, then the first time they are set on a warning. And then if it happens again after that, they are on like a probationary suspension where they can then appeal to have that regained depending on kind of what their situation is. We again advising students on kind of how adding and dropping courses will affect them. And then we work really closely with, advising and registration on all of that. So.
Does so if they have that second warning of the SAP, you called it, do they not have the option of getting financial aid?
So essentially what it would be, so let's say a student, has a rough semester, either they withdraw from a couple things or they fail a couple courses or how it ends up being, they'll be placed on a warning. Let's say following semester, they do well and they don't withdraw from anything, but their GPA is still below a 2.0. And then the next semester in the summer, they take a course and they don't do so well and they get an F. So now we've had 3, consistent semesters where maybe one in the middle was a little bit better, but we didn't quite get pushed over the completion rate or GPA. Then they would go on a suspension where they're not eligible for financial aid. They can appeal it and kind of let us know, like if they had things going on medically or work or childcare or a death in the family or whatever it is, they can essentially appeal it. And we provide them with help on how to fill out the appeal and what documentation they might need. And then ultimately it's up to the appeal committee to decide whether or not, based off that information, their financial aid can be reinstated.
So let's say the appeal goes bad. They have to pay for their next semester and reprove themselves.
Essentially, yes, they could pay for semesters out of pocket if they would like to, or have other third parties that could help, like PBR or FSED and WIO, things like that, that could be helping them. Then essentially if they were working on it and they had a couple really good successful semesters and they went over their 2.0 GPA and they went over that 67% completion rate, we could go back on a warning. And then again, if we had another few successfulness and we're over, then they would go back into a good standing. So essentially you can work forwards or backwards on that. It just all depends on what the student is or isn't doing.
Okay, so another question. I
Mhm.
come from the K-12 world.
Mhm.
I got a junior in high school,
Mhm.
thinking about college, and
Yes.
we celebrate, when I taught financial literacy, we strangely celebrated FAFSA Day,
Yes.
which was October 1st. Hey,
Yes.
go get some loans.
Yep.
So they didn't even know what they were probably getting themselves
No.
into. But, is it the same kind of deadline, October 1st for here? And, or is it, can you apply at any time?
Yes and no. There is, I would say we have some sort of deadlines that we would set for students that would be like, hey, it would be best in your best interest to have it completed by this date if you want financial aid for this period. But essentially, the due date for the current one is usually the following June. So if it opens, so like our 25-26 has been open since, actually, I think it was January 1st of 24, I believe, because that one was a little bit late because they had made some changes. But that one they can still fill out now until June, because essentially they could be using that financial aid now for the spring or starting in the summer. So technically, it's usually like 2 years the following June, sort of. It gets a little wonky.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions? Anyone out there? If you're in the chat, just speak up if you got space in there. Nothing out there, I don't think. Okay, Amber will maybe speak up if she sees something too. So we're moving over to you.
All right, so career services, we're here to help students prepare for the next step after graduation. We can help students explore careers, so do some career exploration if a student's like enrolled in a program and figuring out quickly that that's not the right fit for them. We can do some career exploration. Brand new, like potential students, I guess it would be those that aren't admitted yet to the college typically work with our career coaches and recruitment for career exploration. Career services, we work with current students. We can help you prepare for the job application process. So we'll help you write your resume, proofread it, get it ready to go, help you practice interviewing with mock interviews, help students find current jobs and internship opportunities. So we use the platform Handshake as where we direct employers to post jobs. However, we know that not every student is out on Handshake, so we encourage employers to send job postings to me as well, and then we'll send that through an all-student communication. Career services, so if any instructor wants us to come into their classroom to present on a variety of career and professional development topics, we can do that. So this morning I was presenting to DMS students about interviewing, and then they all completed the StrengthsFinder assessment. So I was talking to them about what their results meant. I do workshops on how to write a resume, create a LinkedIn profile. I've done things about professional etiquette in the workplace. So variety of topics. If I don't have a presentation I created, I'm happy to look into creating something. Along with that, oversee the certificate of professional development. So the CPD for short is a self-paced online program that students can complete to become more ready for employment. So they go through and watch a series of workshops that have been recorded and complete activities that go along with them. So one thing is a workshop on how to write a resume, and then the activity go along with it is to write your resume and get it proofed and ready to go from career services. Another how to interview, and then they have to schedule a mock interview. There's probably about 10 to 12 different things that they need to complete. And once they complete it, they will get invited to the annual spring awards ceremony and get certificate recognized for completing it. Students can enroll at any time and complete it on their own pace. Just need to complete it before they graduate and lose access to Blackboard. I do have some faculty that make it a requirement for them to complete the CPD as part of their class, and which is perfectly fine. I just ask for a heads up if anybody's going to do that, so that I can know roughly how many students I'm going to be expecting to come in and do various things. But with the certificate of professional development, other than doing a mock interview. Students can do everything else in Blackboard at any time that they want. So. We have the student employment and internship program as well through Career Services. This is on-campus student employment. With on-campus student employment, it's mainly students who are work-study eligible. And we have work-study funded positions on campus. So, somebody might work at the Welcome Center front desk, or we have the Care Center desk that we have student staff. Then here in the Student Success Center, there's students. So they're earning part-time jobs. Avery is a student worker as well. We don't refer to our students as work-study students because not everybody earns work-study, and that's a form of payment versus you're just a student worker. So,
One of the questions that we have out there is how many students typically finish that certificate of professional development each year?
100 to 120 or so. I couldn't name right now, like on being on the spot, but I couldn't name the number of instructors that, make the students complete it, but it's quite a few.
Do students typically come in with a resume before they've been here?
I do have a lot of people that come in with a resume. Sometimes people who get a resume, like create a resume in high school, they don't think that that's valid and not good enough, but I tell them like it's a starting point and it's better than coming in from a blank slate. So we can work on that together. I do have sample resumes and cover letters for nearly every program. With some of the new programs, I may need to do some updating, but I have one for every program that I can share with anyone, instructors and students, to allow students to use.
We did have a comment out there. It's an amazing program and requirement for Kristen Ziegler students. So,
Yes, thank you, Kristen.
so if there's adjuncts out there that wanted to utilize that resource, you want to get a hold of Alicia Aker, Acker.
Yes.
Okay.
It will be, we are in the process of hiring someone, so my title has changed. I'm now the Student Experience and Compliance Manager. And we had a part-time care center assistant in the care center that has been now changed to full-time. And we're in the process of hiring it where they're going to be doing a lot of the one-on-one appointments with students, going into classrooms and doing presentations and stuff. So for now, yes, please contact me, but that contact will change in the future.
And a lot of this stuff for the student service, for the care center, every student and every teacher, faculty member will have a module within their Blackboard course with information about the different stuff for the for your
Okay.
and accommodations. Also, when we get to the house.
Another area under the care center is the counseling and case management. So Ann Forbeck is our counseling and case manager. So she is here to support our students and meet with them, get them connected to resources. She can help students, manage stress and anxiety. We have utilized two tools. Headspace, which if a student registers for the app using their Blackhawk email, they can get access to stress and anxiety, like workshops, things to help calm them. I've used it before to help me fall asleep. So there's sleep stuff on there. It's just a way to do some usually quick meditation, quick calming, learn to breathe, things like that. And then we have Better Mind, which once again, if a student registers with their BTC email, they can get access to online mental health counseling. Students are started with 3 free credits to meet with a counselor. If they run out, they just need to contact Ann to get additional credits. And as long as we start the year with a bucket of credits, and so as long as we have credits in our bucket, then she can give more out to students. She is able to get students connected to community and on-campus resources. So we have access to some emergency funding assistance. through different grants. So if a student is struggling with paying a bill like rent or internet, or maybe their car broke down and they need to fix it, or they need a bus pass, they don't have enough gas to get home, things like that, connecting with Anne, she can try and help them figure things out in the moment, but then also work to get them on a plan to be able to make sure that they continue being able to come to class in the future. Trying to think of what else. I can't read that, I'm sorry.
211.
Yeah, 211 is one that we use. 211 has food resources, housing resources on it. So a student can go in at any time to this website, plug in where they're living and what they're looking for, and it'll provide different resources.
And then it also talks about the non-traditional student.
Thank you.
My
My eyes are so.
Yeah, no.
Non-traditional, so Anne works with non-traditional occupation students. So an example of an NTO student might be a male going into the nursing program or female going into welding. It's just two that, come off the top of my head, but students that are NTO students have access to some additional emergency assistance funding. So they might be able to get reimbursement for mileage from going from home to school or to a clinical site. Or she might be able to help pay for like a utility bill or something along those lines. And then she also, all students have access to this, but there is a Blackboard page that is for resources, the counseling case management page. So she has updated resources for on campus as well as in the community. So if a student is struggling on Saturday at 2 a.m., they could go to Blackboard and look for some resources until they're able to meet with her the following week. Student life. So Elisa Colson is our student engagement specialist. So she has an office up in the care center, but then also one down in the student commons to be able to engage with students. And she's really here to help students get involved on campus. So she oversees the advisors for all the student organizations. And she's also the advisor for Student Government Association. She can assist with helping with events that are happening on campus. She plans a lot of events, the movie nights, speakers, the award ceremony, things like that. She plans. If anybody has ideas for events, go to her because she is able to incorporate it to things that is already happening. She provides information about upcoming student events and activities on campus. I send an email every Monday afternoon, unless for some reason we're not open, then I'll send it typically on Tuesdays. And then during the summer, it's not as often because we just don't have as much going on, but a weekly email to all students with upcoming events, deadlines, things that they should know about. So like when we do program orientation, I tell students if they see an email from me, not to delete it because it's probably the weekly email that has a lot of important information in it. I'm surprised with how many students know my name and then they're like, you're the one that sends emails. And so, and then lastly with student life, she, can share information. She can come and do presentations to classes on how to get involved in the different student organizations. She does have a Blackboard organization for student organizations that if you are a member of student organizations, you can go in and have access to various things that are needed to be an active member.
I'm going to back up a slide, and the question from out there is, are faculty able to utilize any of those counseling services if needed asked?
We do. There's an
employee through HR. I can't think of what it's
a
called.
limited number of counseling sessions and outreach resources.
So that would be an HR question.
That would be an
So
HR
for-
question. Yep. The services that Anne provides is specifically for students.
Okay, like those apps, I think, or those software, I think that's might
Like
be
the
what.
Better Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we have other things that are available for that. Good question. Oh, And then the student cover.
The student covered.
Chili.
Let's keep you going.
Chili. So the picture is of some 2 pallets of chili that we got donated. No.
okay.
Do you know of any students that want some chili? But our student cupboard is located in the care center. We're here to provide supplemental food and hygiene items to students. The only requirement is you have to be an enrolled student to use the student cupboard. Come and shop for your family, your household, not extended family, people who live with you. We ask students to plan ahead and come and shop for once a week, just so that we can make sure that everyone is being able to utilize the student cupboard that needs to. The student cupboard is open during care center hours, which is Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 5, and Friday, 8:30, not 8:30, I'm sorry. Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and Friday, 8 to 4:30. We're always accepting donations of food and hygiene items. So if anybody, is willing and wanting to donate, you can drop them off in the care center or at each of the front entrance doors. There is bins that you can donate as well.
Okay, that's me.
That's you. All right.
So my name is Amanda Fedrowski. I'm the Access and Accommodations Coordinator. I work with students with disabilities on campus. I also work with pregnant and parenting students who receive Title IX accommodations. Basically, BTC follows the ADA federal regulations that state that students with disabilities have the right to attend college campuses and have access to the programs and activities. Students need to provide documentation and meet with me to determine reasonable accommodations. There's a process that goes along with that where students need to request the accommodations that they want to activate in their classes each semester and for the summer term. My office then communicates with the staff, stating that the student has met with the office. These are the accommodations. And then we work closely back and forth, if we need to add things. We have many different formats of our classes, so that's taken into consideration. It's basically an ongoing interactive process. So we encourage students, if they've met with me and they've had a plan, then maybe they didn't request them, but now they're going into, their nursing program courses, to keep in touch, schedule that meeting. We can always revisit that plan. It stays with students while they are enrolled here. We offer different types of accommodations. They are really built to allow accessibility. So that can be assistive technology. It can be, mobility assistance, ergonomic equipment. The number one type of accommodation that students seek out and are approved for, testing accommodations. We offer low distraction testing, time and a half, 200%. That's reflected in courses within Blackboard. That additional time is built in. But again, it really relies on that meeting and that communication, ongoing communication with students. Regarding Title IX, Title IX is federal law that prohibits sex discrimination. Pregnancy is considered one of those special categories. So students who are pregnant or experiencing a related condition can apply and meet with me for accommodations for their pregnancy and or recovery from a related condition. The accommodations are very much tailored to the progression of the pregnancy, because pregnancy is not a disability, but it can become a temporary medical condition. So I work with the instructors, maybe registration, if students, end up having to stop out. We do our best, and we are required to allow students to return to the place where they left off if they had to leave their program because of pregnancy-related situation. And then there is a short period of time after delivery that students have academic considerations. So that's, again, working with the faculty to maybe offer online course content, so that they can stay home maybe for their theory classes. We're also looking at, things like safety precautions during pregnancy if they're, in the radiography program. The two things to consider and keep in mind is that students who attend BTC, whether they have a disability or not, and whether they're experiencing a pregnancy, they still need to meet academic expectations, academic progress, and specific academic program requirements. So that's sort of a difference between maybe students in high school who have a 504 or an IEP. We're really looking at that transition to the higher ed setting where it's about accessibility, reasonable accommodations, and still maintaining those high academic and program and overall learning expectations.
So the one thing, like the rest of it, all y'all are in the student services area, and Amanda's over here in the student success area, but a branch of your team, and you have
So
a person as part of your team also.
yeah, so I'm over here, not because I don't want to be there, but this puts me closer to students where I can do more work, closer to the testing center. I do have a part-time person. Her name is Morgan Kasich. She's my assistant. So she oftentimes is the one, sending out accommodation notices. She's in the testing center. Basically, you can ask her any question that you can ask me. Yes, and we tag team, and we have a lot of students, and we try to keep up. And if I'm late with anything, call me, send me an email, shoot me through a van in the hallway, whatever you got to do to get my attention.
And the other thing is, we're trying to right now really have an effort for all of our courses getting into April to be more accessible within Blackboard. And so if you need help or don't even know what that is, you can contact CETO support at blackhawk.edu. Our team can help people to make their courses more accessible
Yeah.
for all of our students.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to say anything about Title II, but
If you want to say a quick word about Title II, because that's what the requirements are by April.
yeah, by April.
Okay.
So, so Title II is another federal regulation that requires accessibility for mobile apps and technology, basically. So public facing websites, things of that nature need to be accessible to people, to all people. So that includes streaming videos, that includes being able to come into come into your Blackboard and have captioning, have accessible PDFs so that students can use screen readers, things along that nature. So we do have a team at BTC working together to ensure that that is set and ready to go. I think for accessibility, it's a little bit different because it's something that we've always been required to do, but the Title II rollout is for all institutions of higher education that receive financial service, financial aid to their students, federal financial aid. So, yeah, we've got a nice group working. I look directly at you because yeah, and if there are questions of accessibility, particularly if you're a member of the community coming in and needing access and accommodations, definitely reach out to myself or to anyone at the Welcome Center.
And the question that we have is like, we have a thing called Blackboard Ally within Blackboard that gives a percentage of accessibility. And the question is, do we need to be 90% by the April date in Blackboard?
Yes, ideally, we do need to be there because we need to meet the Title II AA. I can't remember. What is it? Title II
Title II AA,
WAG.
yeah, WAG.
WAG 2.1.
Yeah.
2.1, thank you. Yes. So if you are in need of resources, to make sure that your course is 90% accessible, please reach out to me, to CETO. We have some checklists that you can go through, and there's a lot of nice built-in tools and features. The number one thing I think we're encountering during this process is PDFs. So PDFs that are difficult to scan, to be read out loud, or to be converted. So, but definitely reach out to me. If you have questions, submit a ticket to CETO and we will help you.
Yeah, and so we as an institution, I believe Tim Hall, our Blackboard administrator, told me that we've already jumped up 6% overall in accessibility. And so we keep on wanting to keep moving that number up as we get closer to April. The other question here is, even if those with vision, so their program is specialized, do they still have to have that 90%, even if they're the students in their program do not have visual and hearing disabilities.
Yes. It's a matter of accessibility for anyone, and that includes everyone with any type of disability. Whether they're hearing impaired, whether they're visually impaired, there are many types of communication barriers that exist that can be non-native speakers. And so that's why this law actually came out in 1990, but it was never enforced by the federal government. And so they're doubling down now, saying we've had enough time. And, you know, colleges are, I will admit, scrambling to some extent. I think the curriculum end of it has been, you know, very dedicated instructors who are, you know, using the tools and resources available to them. Broader speaking, I think it's more the public facing entities as well, which we have to guarantee that people are able to access. So our live streaming events, which we're not doing anymore. But you know, things like our public events, you know, and if somebody comes in and they need an ASL interpreter, you know, they can request that, and that's my job to, you know, hire that interpreter and get that person in here. These processes take time, and sometimes when things are going right, we don't know, and so, you know, definitely point out to me if there's an issue, concern, work with you on that.
Good questions. I just encourage you to keep moving those forward, get closer and closer to 90% or higher.
Yep.
The goal is not 100% because it's not going to happen. I've tried in some courses. Let's move over to athletics. Do we want to talk about busing too? Or that?
Hey, whatever you want.
Okay, all right.
For the time being. So
Okay, we're ready.
So Niall Finney, I'm the athletic director here. Currently we have 7 programs regarding our athletic teams. So men's and women's basketball, we do have a JV team, a women's volleyball team, men's golf, co-ed bowling, and co-ed trap shooting. And essentially, we participate in the NJCAA, which is the National Junior College Athletic Association, and the teams derive mainly from Wisconsin and the state of Illinois. Currently, and that was from last year, but I think there's 35 teams currently, with more being added before the next academic year starts. So it's a pretty big deal regarding the level of competition when you compare it to other places where, you know, like clubs, you know, a lot of colleges have club teams that students can participate on, but with the NJCAA specifically, just like everything else, there's certain standards and expectations that the institution has to uphold, or, you know, those negative results come as far as, you know, fines, things that we don't want. Yeah, no fun, right?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so typically, you know, a student athlete who's planning to participate in athletics, their journey is exactly the same in how they start out. So, you know, we have a college application to get into school. We have all of our student athletes go through the financial aid process, and then we really do our best to let all of our student athletes know what type of resources that we have. So they were treated the same way as any other, you know, student who's not participating in athletics. The kicker is the time requirement. So, you know, most, if not all, are looking to, you know, work off campus or on campus and continue to, you know, participate in athletics on top of keeping up with their course workload, which is 12 credits minimum, no matter the program. Now, there are some cases where, let's say, a student athlete is on their last semester until they graduate and their only requirement is to take 9 credits. Then in that case, then, you know, the NJCAA allows that student to not, you know, just add courses just to reach that 12 credit minimum. And then we do offer our scholarships with all of our programs, and they're at the coach's discretion. But typically how that goes is a coach will tell me, hey, I really enjoy the student athlete and what they provide for the team. I would like to give them X amount regarding towards their academics.
Does the coach like get like X amount of dollars they can split it up between?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So each coach or each program has a allotted amount for the year for them to divvy up amongst their athletes that participate on their team. And it's a rule of thumb. I always say, do your best to divide it up evenly, but all cases are different and every year is not the same because it's all dependent on recruitment. So for athletics, we can't depend on just the students that we have enrolled. All of our coaches have to go out there to the high schools recruit. So that might change the dynamic on how you pull in a particular recruit, especially if you have other institutions that are recruiting the same athlete. So it's basically what kind of package can we put together that's going to reflect that we have not only the student athlete's best interests at heart, but what's going to basically get them to sign with us.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it in a nutshell, unless, that I can think of.
I think one of the things that faculty are gonna wonder about is the eligibility.
Okay.
They're probably gonna wanna know about your student, like the study tables.
Yeah.
And like the expectation for athletes.
So the NJC has a minimum of a 2.0, and again, 12 credits that students have to be eligible. This is on a semester basis. That 12 credit minimum has to be present throughout the whole academic year. Once a student drops below 12, I basically have 24 hours to either get that student re-enrolled in a class to get them at 12, or if they're ineligible for the remainder of that semester. And as far as study tables, we try to have them minimum twice a week. Right now, currently it's Tuesdays and Fridays. But there's some flexibility based off of students' class schedule, work schedule, things like that. But the program as a whole, I like them to have at least a 2.8. Not only to give them a cushion if they do, they don't do well in the class, but if their true intention is to play at a 4-year, the higher the GPA, the easier the job will be to try to get them an athletic scholarship to that institution. The fact of the matter is most coaches, no matter the sport, really already have their go-to players, if that's what you want to call them. So they're just looking for someone that can be dependable. And they don't have to worry about them being academically ineligible or a nuisance to team success. So we try to keep those standards higher than the expectation of the NJCAA, just for those very reasons.
Okay. Because they got 2 years here, then they could have another 4 years nowadays, right?
Correct. That rule. So 2 years here, 2 years at a 4-year. The NJCAA is working with the NCAA and NAIA, where if you spend 2 years at a junior college, that doesn't count against your overall eligibility at a 4-year. So potentially you could have 4 years at a 4-year school.
I'm going to say thank you to you all for being here from Student Services. Appreciate it. Thanks for those people that are out there. I'm going to throw in the chat quick our survey.